Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I am in quite the conundrum. I have so many images that I want to get to, and it's just so hard to settle on one that I'm like, gotta do it, gotta, you know, walk you guys through this on the PhotoDirector365 podcast and show you behind the scenes what happens with an image. But I've been looking and looking and looking at so many images today that I've just been like, God, they're so good. I can't pick one. I mean, there's obviously some that I, you know, put out of the running. Um, but my wife just texted me, so I had to check and see what that was. But I'm going to start this one with how I take it. Like I literally just went and created a new image because I couldn't make up my mind. And I said, all right, whatever comes out, I'm going to do the entire initial process of what I do. So when I create the images, I'm creating them, landscape style. So I think it's 1792 by 1024 or whatever. So the first thing I do is I come into Photo Director and I put them through the image upscaler. And all I want to do is get them a little bit better. Let me find the right one here. There we go. And all I'm going to do is make it bigger so that I can shrink it down and get a better DPI before I extend the image, because I found that if I get a higher DPI before I extend the image, for whatever reason, the extension does better. Typically, there have been a few that were, not so great. So you can see we're in the image upscaler here. Um, I'm just going to go ahead and get that full screen there. And you can move this around. It does pretty good. Now this is my before here, kind of fuzzy. So it does use a little bit of AI to kind of clean up the picture and make it look a little bit better. Um, and you can obviously zoom in and out here to get a look at some of the other stuff that's going on. Like over here, I'm pointing at the screen, guys. I'm never going to learn. I'm never going to learn. Over here, where the slider is on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see it kind of cleaned up this building pretty good. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of fluff back here in the background that we're going to have to take care of, but that's no big deal. All in all, I thought this was a really cool image that came out, and it does, make it a little bit less fuzzy, a little bit less blurry. So we'll go ahead and let that run for us. It doesn't even need to run. So um, I just put up on here and actually PD so that I know I did it in Photo Director, going in the right folder. Um, so that's how I upscale it. And now I'm going to compress it in Gimp um, to get a little bit closer to where I want to go with it. So let me get out of here a second. Let me pull up GIMP, because what I did is I just made the picture bigger, and the AI cleaned up the edges of things a little bit and made it a little bit clearer. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink it back down so that I can get a higher DPI without using too much stuff in there uh, to actually alter the image. So let me find my file here. Where am I at? New designs. Nope. Uh-oh. Where did I put it? Maybe it's in the works. Yeah, I made the cut. That's where I put it. So I've got 601 UPPD, which means I upscaled it in Photo Director. So I'm going to pull that out, and it's going to ask me about the relative color profile. They're both sRGB files, but I don't quite understand why GIMP has a slightly different file than Photo Director does. So I just click go ahead and convert it. And then I'm going to go to Image along the top here in GIMP, and I'm going to go to Scale Image. And what I want to do, I know my final product that I want to work with is for a specific size print. And as a matter of fact, I've got the stuff in here. Um, so I actually want to scale this to, let's go 3000. And that's going to put me at 1700 because I've got it locked. I don't want to change the aspect ratio or anything right now. I will crop this after I've sent it through the extension process. So I'm probably going to go even a little bit smaller than that. I'll probably put it around 2000, um, which is damn near the original image size. I understand that. And maybe I'm taking an extra step. This is just kind of the way that I've gotten to like do the things that I want to do. So I changed down here in the X and Y resolution from pixels in millimeter, which is the default, to pixels in inches. And I'm going to bump this up to 600. Now I'm compressing the picture, so it shouldn't really have a problem and it shouldn't really be a deal. It shouldn't have to involve AI or anything in order to scale it. May have to add a few pixels here and there, but as far as I understand, that's a pretty straightforward process for it to do, as long as I'm not trying to just add pixels and keep the size the same. So then I'm going to go over here to File and Export As. So we've got 600 up PD. Now we're going to go GIMP. We'll put that on the end of it so that I know that I've taken it back down, gotten a higher resolution out of it. And now when I click on export here, GIMP brings up this other little thing. I leave it at automatic pixel format, and because it's a PNG, which means there's no loss of the image in compression, I'm going to go ahead and compress it, because once I get to the stage where I'm putting it in CMYK in order to work on the image, I want to make sure that I'm well under that 25 megabyte file size that RGB to CMYK ORG uses. So I'm just going to start with compressing it. And as the file gets bigger and as we play around with it a little bit more, I'll try to make sure that I don't go over that 25 megabyte. So I can just close out of GIMP. I'm done with GIMP at this point in time. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Generative AI Studio in PhotoDirector. And god damn it, I'm pointing at the screen again, like you guys are right behind me looking at me doing this. So click on Generative AI here on the main, and we're just going to go to Extend, Import Photo, and now we're looking for UPPD GIMP. And you can see we're already at 11.4 megabytes. And we're about to, I don't know why I'm not full screen on that, but I know my ultimate size is going to be quite a bit taller than this image is and a little narrower on the wide. But because this cost me credits, I'm going to increase the up and down. So like I said, we're going to crop this to the appropriate size, and we're just going to get a little bit on the edges here, see if we get something to play with. Because when you crop, you can slide it over one side or the other. If it gives me something really cool on one side of the image, I can kind of move it over a little bit. I'm actually going to make these just a hair bigger just to see what it gives me. And that'll run through. It's only going to take a second or so. My wife texted me again, so let me see what she said while that's doing its thing. Thanks for bearing with me, guys, while I do this. So that's done. This is almost done. And you'll see we'll get a couple of different images, two actually, to choose from. And once we do that, then I'm going to crop it, and that's where I start from. Originally, I was using the same size images from what the AI gave me, and I figured out, hey, I need to start doing this a little bit differently so that my measurements are a little bit closer when I go to upload them in the final large image size, which is around 12,000 by 9,000, I think 12,000 by 9,600, something like that. So these images will get a lot bigger in order to be put into my print on demand setup. And then I want to get DPIs and I can use them at all these different size photos, but I don't have to cut off as much of the picture when I'm setting them up in the print on demand if I start with an appropriate size. So our original image, if you click on this little page type icon here, this is our original image. And unfortunately, I can't zoom this or anything. So I'm going to kind of get a little close here while I look with my reading glasses, and the old man takes a look at what it gave me. So it gave me some pretty cool sky stuff, a little bit of kind of rubble down here. Didn't really do a whole lot on the sides. I didn't expect it to do a whole lot on the sides. This kind of arced up here and arced up here. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that this looks like almost like water or mud. I think I'm going to call this Fallen Angel or something right in that area. I'll think about it for a little bit, but I think I'm going to call it Fallen Angel. And something about that curve up and over the moon makes me like this one better. So I'm going to take that one and I am going to go into guided up here along the top, and I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to crop, rotate, flip. And the first thing I'm going to do that I always forget to do, just like pointing at the screen, is unlock the aspect ratio. So I'm going to make sure that little puppy's unlocked. And then if I want to get in here, probably around, this one's actually pretty big. So let's see. I'm going to use a calculator real quick, guys. So 3,000 times, let's go 1.5. Whoops, not times, divided. Gives us 2,000. So that's going to cut about 500 off the width. Yeah, let's go with that. 2142. And then I'll need my calculator again. 2400 is my height. What did we do? 1.4. So 1714. At least I'm in the ballpark. So I'm not going to set it up as print on demand and going, crap, I'm losing half the picture. Or, oh no, I got to move the picture over because where I put the logo on the picture, that's how I sign my name to my artwork is by doing that. So I got to be careful where I put the logo. I don't want it to be being a distraction from the actual picture, but I also want to make sure that when I put it up for print on demand, it's in the right location in terms of what we got going on. So we can cut off a little bit of the arcing at the top and get some of this bottom part that I like here. And our fallen angel, if you can see this grid here, is right pretty much smack dab in the middle, which I don't always go for. That's not something I look for, but this extension didn't give me a whole lot to work with on the sides. It gave me a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom, but I know what my size is, so I'm going to try and make it fit in here. I think I want it just so I can see a little bit. This is coming in as an arc, and this is coming in as an arc over here. We've got a little bit of this stuff down here. I'm good with that. Done. And then I'm going to click the back arrow, and you can see we've got our cropped picture. And now I can't remember what size it was, but that's okay. Make sure I'm in the right file here. Made the cut. So I'm going to go in there, and I remember this was 601 extended crop. So I'm not going to put all that other information in there because I'll be able to see that the the image before was upscaled and then put through GIMP. This is extended and then cropped. So I'm cutting off. Otherwise, my titles would be like this freaking long, and I wouldn't even know what to do with them. I'm going to scroll down, make sure I've got my keep original photo resolution, and I'm going to go ahead and export it to my file from there. And then I will take it and I will put it through the CMYK process, which I suppose I could do real quick since I've got you guys on this video already. Come on. Let's go. RGB conversion, CMYK. Of course, I probably did that too fast for you guys, but if you've seen it before, you've seen it before. If you haven't, why haven't you watched my other videos? Okay, so RGB to CMYK.org. You choose your file, it uploads it, it turns it into CMYK. CMYK is what printers print in. So it gives you, when you're editing in CMYK files, it gives you a better idea of how it's going to print on paper or on poster or puzzle, whatever it happens to be. And you can see here it's got a max file size upload of 25 megabytes. So I want to stay under that as long as I can, so that I can continue to see the CMYK of the image that I'm working on. So all you got to do is click start, and it didn't. Sometimes this thing will mess up and it'll say it can't do it, and you just click the refresh, the circular thing up here in the corner, and it pulls it right up. I don't know why it does that sometimes. Um, but our CMYK image is now in there, and we got to go to made the cut. Whoops. Oh, I guess that's the only one I've got in there. So save that. And that's it for this video, guys. I will see you on the next one when we actually start um, removing objects and playing with how we want to change the image. And we'll go forward from there. But thanks for hanging out with me today on my PhotoDirector365 vodcast for Kaosivity. And remember, guys, let the chaos out. Become creative. We have the best tools in the world right now, and they're getting better all the time. You just got to make use of them. So I will see you guys on the next one.